The alien princess saw me and told her friends, "That's my husband. He just does know yet." Alex Harper had always thought himself prepared for anything. As the captain of the starship Odyssey, he had traveled to countless planets, met strange species, and faced dangers that most humans would only read about in history books. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the moment he stepped onto the glittering streets of Zalira, the bustling hub planet where traders, travelers, and diplomats from dozens of star systems mingled freely. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and the soft hum of hovering vehicles. Neon signs in dozens of alien scripts flickered above every shop, advertising wares that ranged from delicate star crystals to food that shimmered in colors Alex couldn't name. He had come here to deliver a scientific artifact, a rare mineral sample collected from a distant asteroid, and hoped it would be a simple handover. But life had a way of refusing to be simple. As Alex adjusted the strap of his satchel and scanned the crowd, he felt a sudden shift in the atmosphere. It wasn't fear nor hostility, it was attention. A warmth, subtle yet unmistakable, touched the edge of his consciousness. He turned and his eyes met hers. Princess Lyria of the Velari stood a few meters away. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly like polished opal under the hub planet's lights, and her eyes glowed with a soft, golden light. Her posture was relaxed, but there was an undeniable power in the way she held herself. Even in the crowd, she stood out. Lyria didn't speak aloud. Instead, a thought reached Alex's mind, gentle and clear. "You are extraordinary," he blinked, startled. His heart skipped a beat. Telepathy wasn't uncommon among some alien races, but he had never experienced it directly. He looked around, expecting someone else to have sent the thought, but the princess's gaze held him fast. Before he could respond, Lyria laughed softly and turned to her friends. He didn't understand their language, but he caught a phrase, a whisper meant only for them. "That's my husband. He just doesn't know yet." Alex froze. Husband? Him? He glanced back at Lyria, who gave him a slight, almost mischievous smile before disappearing into the crowd. For the rest of the day, Alex tried to focus on his mission, but he kept noticing small, strange occurrences. A shopkeeper insisted on giving him a rare fruit he didn't even ask for. A group of young Velari seemed to follow him around, laughing quietly and exchanging knowing glances. Even the guards at the docking station kept nudging him politely out of harm's way. Alex had no idea why. Humans were curious and sometimes bold, but he wasn't accustomed to being the center of attention in this way, especially by a foreign race. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a part of him was fascinated. Later that evening, the hub planet's skyports buzzed with activity as ships from across the galaxy landed and took off. Alex made his way to the central plaza to meet the scientist who was to receive his artifact. That's when he ran into Lyria again. She was sitting on a low wall, her legs crossed gracefully, watching the crowd. When she saw him, her smile widened. Without thinking, Alex approached. "Hello," he said cautiously, not wanting to offend. "Hello, Alex," Lyria replied, her voice melodic, almost echoing in his mind as well as his ears. "You're quite unlike any human I've encountered." Alex chuckled nervously. "I'll take that as a compliment." She nodded, her eyes gleaming. "It is," then more quietly she added, "you have a kind of creativity that is rare in your species. You do not follow patterns blindly." Alex felt a blush rise to his cheeks. He had spent his life relying on ingenuity to solve problems, but being praised by a princess, and an alien one at that, was disorienting. "You seem to know a lot about me," he said, trying to sound casual. "Perhaps," she said, her smile playful. "Or perhaps I simply see what others cannot." Before he could ask more, a commotion broke out near the plaza's edge. A small cargo droid had malfunctioned, its metal arms swinging dangerously near a cluster of bystanders. Alex reacted without thinking. He ran forward, grabbed the droid, and twisted its arms in a way only a human with some engineering experience could. Sparks flew, alarms sounded, but the droid stopped moving. The crowd cheered. Lyria's eyes widened slightly, not with surprise, but with approval. She whispered something to herself, which Alex somehow understood in his mind, exactly the kind of person I hoped to find. After the crowd dispersed, she approached him. "You saved many lives today," she said. "Not just with your hands, but with your mind." Alex shrugged. "I just did what anyone would do." She studied him for a long moment, then smiled softly. "Not anyone would, that is why I chose you." Alex swallowed. "Chose me for what?" For a partnership, she said gently, though her golden eyes seemed to sparkle with certainty. One that is unusual in your species, perhaps, but necessary for mine. Alex felt a knot in his stomach. This was all moving too fast. He barely knew her, barely understood her people, and here she was, declaring him chosen for some mysterious purpose. I don't know what to say, he admitted. Then say nothing, she said, and her smile softened into something almost human. Observe, learn, decide when you are ready. Over the next few days, Alex found himself drawn into the Valeri's world. Lyria's friends, the ones who had whispered about him being her husband, now included him in their activities. They shared meals that glowed softly with energy, taught him the art of telepathic subtlety, and invited him to explore hidden gardens suspended in the air by anti-gravity fields. Everywhere he went, Lyria seemed to be there too, sometimes guiding him, sometimes watching silently from a distance. And everywhere he went, Alex noticed small acts of protection. A guard subtly redirecting a hostile traitor, a device malfunctioning safely instead of dangerously, small but clear signs that he was being watched over. One evening, as they floated among bioluminescent plants in a garden, Alex finally asked, "Why me? Why not someone from your own people?" Lyria's gaze was soft but unwavering. "Because humans see possibilities where others see limits. You do not follow rules blindly. You think you act and you care in ways that resonate with my people's needs. You are unusual, and that is why I chose you." Alex laughed nervously. "Chosen again, that word keeps coming up." She tilted her head, playful yet serious. "Perhaps the word is unfamiliar to your culture, but in mine, it is simple. The person I choose is the person who can stand beside me, not behind me, not for power, not for glory, but for something more important. For survival, for courage, for trust." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and realized something astonishing. He didn't need to understand all the customs, the politics, or the telepathy. He only needed to recognize what she had seen. A human heart capable of action, empathy, and ingenuity in a galaxy that often underestimated them. Just as Alex began to feel a small, thrilling spark of connection, a warning alarm blared from the starport. A group of masked figures, clearly intruders, rushed toward the plaza. Panic erupted. Alex grabbed Lyria's hand instinctively. "Stay behind me," he said. "I think I can handle this." She smiled, unafraid. "I trust you." And for the first time, Alex realized that whatever strange, confusing, and thrilling journey lay ahead, he wasn't just a human lost in a galaxy of wonders. He was someone important, someone Lyria had seen as extraordinary before even he could understand it. The attackers rushed forward, but Alex's quick thinking, combined with the unexpected creativity of human tactics, managed to defuse the threat before anyone was hurt. Lyria watched, impressed, and whispered again in her mind, a statement that would stay with Alex forever. Yes. He is exactly the one. As the night settled over Zalira and the stars shimmered above, Alex felt a mixture of awe, confusion, and anticipation. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring. But for the first time in his life, he also felt a certainty that he had never known before. That in this vast, unpredictable universe, humans could rise to meet any challenge, even one written in the mind of an alien princess who had already chosen him as her husband. The morning. Son of Zalira painted the city in shades of gold and purple, and the air was alive with the hum of starships and chatter of countless alien species. Alex Harper stood at the balcony of his temporary quarters, staring out at the busy plaza below. The events of the previous night, the strange attention, Lyria's choice, and the small attack he had barely managed to stop, replayed in his mind. Every thought of her stirred something unexpected in him, a mixture of awe, curiosity, and an odd sense of destiny. He hadn't fully processed what it meant to be chosen by a princess of the Valeri. Humans were accustomed to merit, effort, and achievement, not psychic declarations or predestined roles. And yet, the more he thought about it, the more he understood that the galaxy often operated differently than human expectations. Sometimes, survival and success required trust, courage, and willingness to step into the unknown. A soft chime alerted him to someone entering the room. Lyria stepped in, her presence as calming and commanding as ever. She smiled at him as if she knew his thoughts before he even spoke. "You're thinking about last night," she said, her voice gentle. Alex nodded. "And trying to figure out what it all means. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do here." "You do not need to know everything at once," Lyria replied. But there are challenges coming and you must be ready, not because you are chosen, but because you are capable. Before Alex could ask her to explain, an urgent message flashed across the room's communication panel. A small fleet had been detected near the hub's outer rim, moving with unusual speed and formation. Lyria's eyes narrowed. "They are not traitors," she said. "They are here for me or perhaps for you." Alex swallowed hard. "We need a plan." Together, they moved quickly to the central command hub of the planet. The Velari guards were already in position, but Lyria's presence brought a clarity and purpose that inspired even seasoned soldiers. Alex, though human and inexperienced in interstellar warfare, felt a surge of confidence. He had solved problems with quick thinking and improvisation before, and he was about to do it again, this time on a galactic stage. As the fleet approached, Alex studied the readouts. Their movement was precise but predictable. He turned to Lyria. "If we can create a diversion and use the city's defenses creatively, we might be able to slow them down." She nodded. "Do it. I trust your judgment." Using the hub's transport network, Alex orchestrated a series of clever maneuvers. Cargo drones were repurposed to block narrow sky lanes. Energy shields were repositioned to funnel the fleet into traps. And when the intruders attempted to breach the city, Alex led a small team to intercept them, improvising strategies that the Velari had never considered. The battle was tense and fast-paced. Sparks flew from damaged drones, alarms blared, and the hum of energy weapons filled the air. Despite the chaos, Alex remained calm, focusing on solutions rather than fear. Every decision he made saved lives and kept the intruders off balance. Meanwhile, Lyria coordinated with her people telepathically, warning civilians and reinforcing defenses. Together, human ingenuity and Velari discipline created a perfect synergy, and soon the attackers were forced to retreat. The plaza erupted in cheers, and Alex found himself surrounded by grateful faces, though his attention was fixed on Lyria. "You did it," she said softly, stepping close. "Not just because you were chosen, but because you were ready when it mattered." Alex looked at her, realizing something profound. He hadn't been chosen simply as a symbol or pawn. She had seen potential in him, human courage, creativity, and problem-solving, and it had been enough to change the course of events. The days that followed were a mix of celebration and careful preparation. News of Alex's actions spread among the Velari, and whispers of the human hero grew louder. Lyria's friends smiled knowingly, but Alex noticed something different. The respect he received was genuine, earned through deeds, not status. One evening, as the two of them walked through a floating garden filled with glowing plants, Alex finally asked the question that had been on his mind. "Lyria, why me? Why not someone from your own people?" Her golden eyes softened. "Because humans think differently. They act without rigid constraints. You improvise, you adapt, you face fear and still do what is right. That is rare and it is valuable. That is why I chose you." Alex laughed, a mix of disbelief and admiration. "So all this, the attention, the protection, the choice, it's not just about me being some prize." "No," Lyria said firmly. "It is about partnership, survival, trust, courage, and yes, even love, but love born from respect and understanding, not obligation." Alex felt a warmth in his chest he had never experienced before. For the first time, he realized that being human in a galaxy of advanced species was not a disadvantage. His strengths, curiosity, adaptability, courage, were exactly what could make a difference. The harmony of the moment was shattered, however, when the planet's alert system blared again. Another fleet approached, larger and faster than the first. This time it was clear they had learned from their last encounter. Lyria's expression was calm, but her voice carried authority. "They want to test us, and this time they may not retreat easily. Are you ready, Alex?" Alex took a deep breath. "I don't know what they want, but yes, I'm ready." The battle that followed tested every skill Alex had. He coordinated defenses, adapted strategies on the fly, and led daring interventions that saved countless lives. Lyria stayed by his side, their combined efforts seamless. The humans' unpredictability and creativity stunned the attackers, who could not anticipate the unconventional tactics. By the end of the day, the attackers were defeated, and the hub planet was safe. Alex, exhausted but exhilarated, finally allowed himself a moment to breathe. Lyria looked at him, pride shining in her eyes. "You see," she said, "humans are more than they appear. Courage, ingenuity, and a willingness to act when others hesitate, these are what make your kind remarkable." Alex smiled, finally understanding the truth behind her earlier words. It was not about status, rank, or destiny alone. It was about what he had done and what humans could do when faced with challenges that demanded more than brute strength or protocol. That night, as the stars glittered above the city, Alex and Lyria walked through the plaza, side by side. The citizens of Zalira watched them with admiration, some whispering stories of the human who had become more than a visitor. He had become a symbol of hope, courage, and partnership. Alex looked at Lyria, and for the first time he felt a connection deeper than curiosity or admiration. It was a recognition that together they could face anything: political intrigue, hostile forces, or the endless mysteries of the galaxy. "You know," Alex said quietly, "I never thought I'd be standing here fighting alongside a princess, saving a planet, and, well, being chosen." Lyria laughed softly. "And yet, here you are, chosen not because I demanded it, but because you proved yourself. That is what matters." Alex nodded, understanding now what it truly meant to be human in a galaxy of wonders. It wasn't about being the strongest, the smartest, or the most advanced. It was about courage, creativity, and the willingness to step forward when it counted. As they looked toward the horizon, the stars seemed to shine brighter. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but Alex felt ready. For the first time in his life, he knew that humans could not only survive among the stars, they could thrive. And with Lyria by his side, he realized that perhaps the impossible was simply the next challenge waiting to be met. For Alex Harper, the journey had only just begun, but he knew one thing with certainty. In this universe, humans were capable of more than anyone had ever imagined, and he would face it all with courage, ingenuity, and a heart wide open to the possibilities that lay ahead. The following weeks on Zalira passed in a mixture of excitement, challenge, and unexpected lessons. Alex Harper had learned more about the Velari culture than he ever imagined possible, and yet, every day brought a new test of his human adaptability. The hub planet, once simply a destination, had now become a center of attention for the galaxy's political and military powers. And at the heart of it all was Alex, the human who had earned the trust and admiration of a princess. Princess Lyria walked beside him in the sprawling city gardens, the bioluminescent plants glowing softly around them. She had insisted that he join her on the morning's diplomatic meeting, a gathering of leaders from nearby systems. Alex, still adjusting to the idea that his actions could affect entire worlds, felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation. "You're going to do fine," Lyria said, noticing his unease. Her golden eyes shone with a warmth that made him feel grounded. "Just remember, humans think differently. That is your advantage here." Alex nodded. "I hope so. I don't want to embarrass your people or myself." "You won't," she said firmly. "Your perspective is valuable. You see solutions that others cannot. Trust in that." As they entered the council chamber, Alex was struck by the diversity of beings present. Tall crystalline creatures shimmered beside insectoid delegates, and amphibious species with translucent skin floated above the floor on small platforms. The room buzzed with a mixture of curiosity and tension. All eyes, at least for a moment, seemed to turn toward the human standing beside the princess. The council's leader, a stern Velari elder, began addressing recent threats in the sector. Alex listened carefully, noting the subtle gaps in strategy and the assumptions that each species made about the others. When it came his turn to speak, he focused not on politics but on practical solutions. "If we coordinate the defense systems between our planets and use mobile units in unexpected ways," he explained, "we can prevent attacks before they reach critical targets. Speed, flexibility, and unpredictability are key. I know humans are often underestimated, but these methods work." There was silence for a moment, then murmurs of approval. Lyria's smile widened. She had been right. His thinking was different, and it captured the attention of even the most experienced delegates. Over the next several hours, Alex contributed more strategies, each grounded in human ingenuity. He suggested using decoy ships to confuse attackers, rearranging energy grids to create temporary barriers, and even coordinating with local wildlife that had defensive abilities to create natural obstacles. By the time the meeting ended, the council had not only accepted many of his suggestions but began to rely on his perspective for future planning. When they returned to the palace gardens, Lyria chuckled softly. "You see, humans do have their uses after all." Alex laughed, feeling the tension melt from his shoulders. I just hope this doesn't make me a target again. Last time, someone actually tried to attack the city because of me. Lyria's expression grew serious. It might, but that is the risk you take when you stand out. That is the cost of courage, but also the reward. You are not just a visitor anymore, Alex. You are a part of something bigger. Just as the words left her lips, alarms blared across the palace. Holographic displays projected the image of a massive fleet emerging from the nearby nebula. This fleet was unlike any previous encounter, larger, heavily armed, and clearly targeting Zalira itself. Alex felt a familiar surge of adrenaline. He had faced danger before, but this was different. This was not a small attack, it was an invasion. Lyria grabbed his hand, her touch steadying him. "We will face this together," she said. "I trust you, Alex. Are you ready?" He nodded. "We can do this." The following hours became a whirlwind of strategy, action, and improvisation. Alex coordinated the city's defenses, implementing his plans for unpredictability and rapid response. Lyria moved among the defenders, lending her telepathic guidance and rallying the citizens. Together, human ingenuity and Velari discipline formed a seamless team. The invading fleet attempted to breach the outer defenses, but Alex had anticipated their approach. He ordered cargo ships to form moving barriers, energy shields to redirect the fleet's weapons, and patrol drones to confuse and divide the attackers. When the fleet tried to adapt, Alex adjusted tactics on the fly, his human creativity outmatching their predictable strategies. Lyria fought alongside him, using her telepathy to coordinate defenders and anticipate enemy movements. Every time Alex made a move, she reinforced it, creating a perfect synergy. The invaders, expecting traditional Velari tactics, were thrown into chaos by the human strategies and the princess's precise guidance. At one point, a massive battle cruiser aimed a powerful weapon directly at the city's central plaza. Alex realized that if it fired, the casualties would be catastrophic. Without hesitation, he led a small strike team in an unconventional maneuver, using diversionary drones and energy nets to disable the cruiser's weapon. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, but the cruiser was neutralized. When the dust settled, the invading fleet retreated. The city had survived, and the citizens cheered, their relief palpable. Alex, exhausted but exhilarated, stood beside Lyria on the palace balcony, looking out at the stars. "You did it again," Lyria said, her voice filled with pride. "Not because you were chosen, but because you acted with courage, intelligence, and heart. That is what matters." Alex looked at her, feeling a deep respect and admiration. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "You guided me, your people supported me, but I've never felt more alive, more capable. I think I understand now what you meant about humans being underestimated." Lyria smiled softly. "Yes, and that is why you matter. Your actions inspire not just your people, but all of us. Courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to act in the face of danger, these are what make humans remarkable." The next days were quieter, though the tension lingered. Alex continued learning about Velari culture, diplomacy, and the subtle intricacies of their politics. He became a bridge between humans and Velari, respected not just as a hero, but as a strategist, a partner, and an equal. One evening, as they walked through the floating gardens, Alex felt a sense of peace he had never known. Lyria's presence was constant, her guidance unwavering, yet she allowed him the space to grow, to act, and to prove himself. "You know," he said quietly, "I never imagined being chosen by a princess, saving a city, and becoming part of something so much bigger than myself." Lyria laughed softly. "Life has a way of surprising even the most prepared. But you see now that it is not the title or the prophecy or the destiny that defines you, it is your actions, your courage, your heart." Alex nodded, realizing the truth in her words. It wasn't about being special because of who had chosen him. It was about being human in the truest sense, resilient, inventive, brave, and willing to step forward when it counted. As they looked out at the galaxy, a sense of unity and hope filled Alex. He understood now that humans were capable of more than anyone had expected. They could face danger, inspire allies, and change the course of events simply by thinking differently, acting boldly, and refusing to give up. And standing beside Lyria, he also understood that partnership, trust, and respect could transcend species, culture, and expectation. Together, they were stronger, smarter, and more capable than either could be alone. For Alex Harper, the galaxy was no longer a place of uncertainty or challenge alone. It was a stage where human ingenuity and courage could shine, where alliances could form across worlds, and where even a single person could make a difference in ways unimaginable. As the twin moons of Zalira rose in the sky, casting a soft glow over the city, Alex felt a quiet certainty. Whatever challenges lay ahead, political intrigue, hostile forces, or unexplored frontiers, he would face them with courage, creativity, and the knowledge that humans, even one human, could rise to meet any test. And as Lyria squeezed his hand, her golden eyes glowing in the moonlight, Alex knew that the adventure was only beginning, and that together they could shape the future of not just months passed on Zalira, and Alex Harper had begun to feel a sense of belonging he never thought possible among the stars. The human who had once been a stranger on a bustling hub planet had become a key figure in the city's defenses, a trusted advisor to Princess Lyria, and an admired presence among the Velari people. Yet despite his growing comfort, he knew the galaxy was never still, and peace was always fragile. One morning, Alex awoke to an unusual calm. The skyports were quieter than usual, the markets less crowded, and a strange tension lingered in the air. He met Lyria in the palace garden where the bioluminescent plants glowed softly, reflecting in her golden eyes. "There's something coming," she said without preamble. "A force unlike any we've faced before. I feel it in the currents of the galaxy." Alex frowned. "Do you know what it is?" "No," she admitted, her expression serious. "But it is large, organized, and dangerous. We will need all of our allies and every ounce of ingenuity to face it." Alex felt a familiar surge of determination. He had grown into the role Lyria had entrusted him with, and while he still felt the weight of responsibility, he also knew that humans could bring something unique to the table: creativity, adaptability, and courage that could turn the tide in unexpected ways. Over the next few days, Alex and Lyria coordinated with leaders from nearby star systems, forming an alliance to prepare for the unknown threat. Alex suggested unconventional strategies, such as using asteroids as mobile shields, deploying holographic decoys to confuse sensors, and training mixed teams of human and alien fighters to act unpredictably. Lyria watched him with admiration, occasionally adding subtle telepathic guidance to refine his ideas. One afternoon, while reviewing fleet positions in the command center, Alex noticed a pattern in the incoming signals. "They're not just attacking randomly," he said. "They're probing defenses, testing reactions. Whoever is behind this wants to understand our strengths and weaknesses." Lyria nodded. "That is dangerous, but it also gives us an advantage. If we anticipate their patterns, we can turn their strategy against them." Alex smiled. "Then let's do that." The fleet arrived sooner than expected, emerging from the nebula like a silver storm. Hundreds of ships, sleek and dark, moved with terrifying precision. The battle began almost immediately, and the city's defenses blazed to life. Energy shields hummed, patrol drones zipped through the sky, and the Velari soldiers took their positions. Alex moved quickly, issuing orders that blended human ingenuity with Velari discipline. He directed small teams to create unexpected diversions, redirecting the enemy's fire and forcing them into traps. Drones mimicked fleet movements, holographic decoys created phantom ships, and hidden weapon systems struck at vulnerable points. The invaders adapted, but Alex was faster. His human creativity allowed him to improvise, anticipating their next moves and countering them before they could exploit weaknesses. Lyria stayed close, coordinating defenders and reinforcing Alex's plans with her telepathy, guiding civilians to safety, and ensuring that morale remained high. At one point, a massive enemy battleship broke through the outer defenses, its energy cannons aimed at the city's central hub. Alex realized that if it fired, the consequences would be catastrophic. Without hesitation, he led a daring strike team in a maneuver that no Velari commander would have attempted. Using a combination of decoy ships, energy nets, and well-timed distractions, they disabled the ship's main weapons and forced it to retreat. The Alliance fleet followed his lead, and soon the invaders were forced into retreat. The city and its allies had survived another attack, but the message was clear. The galaxy's dangers were growing, and the battles ahead would only become more difficult. After the conflict, Alex and Lyria walked through the damaged but resilient streets of Zalira. Citizens emerged from shelters, cheering the human and the princess alike. Alex felt a mix of pride and humility. He had not fought alone, and yet his human perspective had made a crucial difference. "You are remarkable," Lyria said quietly, taking his hand. "Not because you were chosen, but because you act when it matters. That is the strength of humanity." Alex shook his head. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your guidance, your trust, it gave me the confidence to act." "And that," she said softly, "is why we are strong together. Your courage, combined with the wisdom of my people, creates something neither of us could achieve alone." In the following weeks, Alex continued to train and plan with the Velari and allied forces. He introduced new methods, blending human flexibility with Velari precision, teaching mixed units how to respond unpredictably, and devising strategies for both defense and offense. His actions inspired others, not just humans but alien species as well. The galaxy began to see humans in a new light, not as weak or primitive, but as clever, adaptable, and capable of changing outcomes in ways previously unimagined. One evening, while resting in the palace garden, Alex watched the twin moons rise over the horizon. Lyria joined him, and for a moment, they simply observed the city below, the soft glow of lights and the gentle movement of citizens going about their lives. "You've grown a lot since the first day we met," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "You've learned, adapted, and become someone others can rely on. I always knew humans could surprise me, but you have exceeded even my expectations." Alex smiled, feeling a warmth that had little to do with the glowing plants around them. "I've had a good teacher," he said, "and a reason to act." Lyria laughed softly. "Perhaps, but it is not just my teaching, it is who you are. Humans have an extraordinary ability to rise to challenges. That is why you matter, not just to me, but to the galaxy." Their moment of quiet reflection was interrupted by a sudden alert. A small fleet of ships, clearly scouts, had entered Zalira's sector. The pattern of their movement indicated reconnaissance, not immediate attack, but it was clear that the larger threat was still approaching. Alex stood, feeling the familiar mix of excitement and resolve. "It looks like we have more work to do." Lyria nodded, her golden eyes shining. "And we will face it together. Your strength, your courage, it is exactly what we need. Humans are not just survivors, Alex. You are a force that can shape the future." As they coordinated with the city's defenses and allied fleets, Alex realized something profound. He had come to Zalira as a stranger, unaware of the customs, the dangers, and the possibilities. Yet through courage, quick thinking, and a willingness to act, he had become indispensable. Not just to Lyria, not just to the Velari, but to the larger galaxy. The battles ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, political intrigue, and enemies unlike any they had faced before. But Alex understood something that few humans, or aliens, fully grasped. Ingenuity, courage, and the ability to think differently were forces that could change the course of events, even against overwhelming odds. As the fleet of scouts moved closer, Alex and Lyria prepared for another day of strategy and action. This time, however, there was no fear, only anticipation, confidence, and a deep understanding that humans could rise to meet any challenge. And as the stars twinkled above Zalira, Alex felt a sense of certainty. He was no longer just a visitor or a pawn in an alien world. He was a partner, a hero, and a symbol of what humans could achieve. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but he knew now that together with Lyria, humans could face any obstacle, inspire allies, and shape the future in ways no one had imagined. For Alex Harper, the adventure was far from over. But he was ready, not just because he had been chosen, but because he had proven that humans, with courage, ingenuity, and heart, could make a difference among the stars. And with Lyria by his side, he knew that whatever came next, they would face it together, stronger, smarter, and more capable than ever before. The twin moons of Zalira rose higher, casting a serene light over the city. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the hum of life, hope, and possibility all around him. He realized that humanity's potential was not measured by strength or technology alone, but by creativity, bravery, and the willingness to step forward when it mattered most. And as Lyria squeezed his hand, Alex understood the truth she had been teaching him all along. Being human in a galaxy full of wonders was not a limitation. It was an advantage. And together, they would continue to rise, inspire, and shape the stars themselves.